Give me the tapes, or I'm gonna blow your little friend's head off.
You have 3 seconds.
You think I'm kidding? All right.
1, 2.
Look, I'm just saying, if he can talk about the AI, you can talk about Corey Cunningham. We're all adults here. It's all oh, hey everybody, what's going on? It's the first Wednesday of the month, and you know that means we got to take a trip back on down to the Crypt. So tonight we're going to be talking the season 3 Tales from the Crypt episode, Undertaking Palor. Stay tuned. Scary movie people, welcome to this show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Tonight, folks, it is the first Wednesday of the month, and you know that means we gotta talk a little bit more Tales from the Crypt. That's right. And tonight's episode is actually going to kind of theme up with a couple of the other reviews I put out for some movies recently, notably and specifically Scream 7 and The Mortuary Assistant. There is a tie-in here for the episode we're talking tonight, season 3's Undertaking Palor, that fits in with those here. So the theme isn't lost on me here. This is one that'll actually work out if you've been paying attention recently here and now. But before we jump on into that, if you are a big Tales from the Crypt fan and you want to make sure you are keeping up with my breakdown, my recoverage, my reviews, my analyzation here of these episodes, then you're going to want to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, hit that follow button no matter where you are tuning in, because there is plenty of Tales from the Crypt coverage on my channel for you to check out right now. All throughout 2025, we were covering episodes every single month. We talked about the 30th anniversary of Demon Knight, and we are continuing that all throughout 2026 and beyond. And this year is the 30th anniversary of Bordello of Blood. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming that I don't want y'all to miss out on. Smash that subscribe button, hit that follow button, no matter where you are tuning in. More great horror stuff coming y'all's way here. But let's not waste any time. I know what y'all are here for here. It is time to dive into the season 3 episode, Undertaking Palor. So let's first talk about the tomb, our story of this episode. This episode surrounds a group of kids who are aspiring to be horror filmmakers that break into their local mortuary to see a real dead body. However, they soon stumble upon a sinister conspiracy of murder and greed involving the town's pharmacist and a local mortician, which the boys plan to expose by taking the law into their own hands and film evidence of the mortician's murderous dealings when one of the boys' fathers died from poison asthma medicine. So that is the setup here for Undertaking Palor. And right there in that description, there obviously are a couple of things that really stand out. The fact that these boys want to be horror filmmakers. You know, throughout the episode, we're going to see them armed with video cameras. And the one thing that I kind of lament coming out of it, and the numerous times that I've seen it, is that we only get, 23 minutes per episode. If this happened to be like an extended one, kind of like Yellow, I would imagine that extra time would actually go to showing the boys filming their own monster movies. At the beginning of the episode, we kind of get that. They're coming out of a recent horror film that they went and saw in their town, and then they're on their way back home when they start being chased by some creature all in black with a red eye, and it turns out to be one of the boys' other friends who was basically pulling a prank, making them think that they were a monster and filming them for it. The fact that they want to go and see a dead body, that they all go after this prank to the local mortuary to go see a dead body, that is Stand By Me, right? Like, hey, you guys want to go see a dead body? That is absolutely Stand By Me. But yet, and still, that is not the only 80s kids movie that seems to be evoked here in this particular episode. Like, man, this is 80s kids goodness at its peak, honestly. And I don't mean this is the peak, but I mean the atmosphere and the feeling of this episode. Even if the scares aren't there, it is hard not to have a smile plastered on your face throughout it, because it feels like something coming right out of the mid to late 80s, like your Goonies, your Lost Lost Boys, your Explorers, your Monster Squad, Stand By Me, like I mentioned. There are so many bangers in there that a lot of us grew up on, and this feels like this would go right in that particular crowd. Combine that with the typical great soundtrack that the Crypt episodes usually have, it just makes it so nostalgic, man. There's something really nice about it. And it's not lost on me that there's a Goonie in the cast here as well, so that definitely helps that feeling with it too. But the story here, again, works so well, because if you love your 80s kids films, then these boys are just going on an adventure to basically find the town murderer. They're trying to solve a mystery here. Could be Johnny Quest, could be the Hardy Boys, right? It just fits so well. And this episode, even though it's not one that I saw the original HBO airing, I did see the Fox airing back in the early to mid 90s. And like I talked about with the episode The Pit, which is not a particularly scary episode either, it still managed to evoke terror out of me because it's Tales from the Crypt. And at least in Undertaking Parlor, compared to The Pit, there's an actual, like, again, there's murders that are happening throughout this episode. So that helps to give some kind of spooky environment, but I think that's only effective if you're much younger, because I know I was terrified seeing this episode for the first time back in like 93 or 94. Now, in regards to our Crypt Keeper, again, the ties here to the meta aspect that I mentioned from Scream, they are evident both in the story itself and from the Crypt Keeper here, because the Crypt Keeper is dressed up in old-timey director garb. He's got the French beret, he's got the nice jacket, he's got the clacker at the very beginning of the intro here. He's making his puns, talking about quiet on the set, deathly quiet. And quite honestly, because the tomb isn't there here, the expectation, or I guess the interpretation, that's the word I'm looking for, the interpretation that I took from this episode always was that he was actually showing a story he directed as opposed to reading one like he does in the majority of these episodes. And again, that's my own interpretation behind it, but I love it nevertheless. The fact that he's the one that put this together. Now, what also makes it incredibly meta for me is the fact that this seems like a precursor to what we see at the beginning of Demon Knight, only a couple of years later. The fact that the garb that that Crypt Keeper wears in this episode in Demon Knight is very eerily similar. I know, it's a difference from a beret to like a Kangol hat, and then the colors of what he's wearing there. It's a different jacket for sure, red versus blue. It's not the exact same, but you can't help to kind of build the headcanon that the Crypt Keeper has been directing more features, more TV between the timing of Undertaking Parlor and Demon Knight. That can't just be me who thinks that, right? Let me know in the comment section what other monster movies that the Crypt Keeper was putting together here for people now. But in regards to Kassir's voice work, it's a lot to echo of what I've said here before. This is set in season 3, kind of midway through, and with that, Kassir is still using the older experimental Crypt Keeper laugh at the very end of the episode, the more high-pitched, shorter one, as opposed to the like the longer drawn out one that I feel that he locked in somewhere towards the end of season 3 and kept that throughout the rest of the show and all of the films as well too. It's always great to hear that evolution and hear how it sounds differently. And again, the fact that we're now getting into more of the Crypt Keeper doing bits and skits and wearing costumes, it feels like that gave Kassir more of a chance to be experimental with the laugh and the voice and what he's doing throughout these 2 segments. So 2 really good segments. If you're a Demon Knight fan, you are going to find some synergy there from the opening segment in that and to this one. And then of course, again, just that meta aspect there of the Crypt Keeper being the director fits in perfectly with the boys trying to be their own horror filmmakers, and kind of also screams to my Scream fan base as well too, right? Now, on to our gravestones, our cast that we have here. There's some notable names in this cast working this episode. First of all, our bad guy here that's our mortician is John Glover. That's right, y'all. I am talking Gremlins 2 John Glover. I am talking Smallville John Glover. He has done so many things over the years. He is an absolutely tremendous actor. And when I talked about being a little hammy and therefore it makes it more like a black comedy than it does like anything scary, you know, when he turns on the pharmacist that's played by Graham Jarvis, the way he does it, like, it just cracks me up every single time. It's like, is that kid who set me up here. I got evidence right here. Here, look, crack in the face with the hammer. Something about it is just so over the top, and that is perfect for John Glover because he embodies that so well with these outlandish expressions and just the energy that he puts into his performance. He's a terrific villain in this, and it's just one of the better, more fun performances that we get from a villain here in Crypt as well. Boys, Jason Marsden, so you should absolutely know from things, whether it's like Boy Meets World or a Goofy movie. There is so much 90s goodness that Marsden has brought to us, honestly. He is a legend, and this is right around the time to where I wouldn't say he was doing the bulk of his work, but this was right in the midst of him just going on an all-timer run of projects, honestly. So good there. Jonathan Ray Kwan from the Goonies here is in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and so many other projects, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He gets to be one of our kids as well, and honestly, that always stood out to me because I love when I got to see the kids from the Goonies go off and do other projects. You also have Scott Foltz, Aaron Eisenberg. These guys also did some horror work here back in the 80s, early 90s as well too. So we have a good grouping here for this cast, and whenever we do an ensemble, it's always a matter of making sure everybody's on that same level because Crypt works either with a very small cast or it's usually going to be on the bigger size. And this is one of the bigger ones for an episode that they've done, and nobody here is the low-hanging fruit. Nobody's bringing this episode down here at all. The kids have fantastic chemistry with each other, and like I said, the writing serves as to where it's very much invoking those mid to late 80s kids films. So all the dialogue seems right on point, and even watching it today, it doesn't feel dated, it doesn't feel unnatural. Honestly, you enjoy watching these kids together and enjoy seeing them bounce off of their adult counterparts when they get those chances later in the episode as well. It's a really strong showing here from the cast that we have. Now, in regards to the scares here from this one, like I said, this episode is just not one of the scarier ones that we have. It's surprising because the majority of this episode is set at the town's mortuary, and we see bits like one of the kids trying to set up a rift between the pharmacist and the mortician by taking a delivery from the pharmacy over to the mortician, but then changing out what it is to make it seem like the pharmacist is trying to betray the mortician instead. That's a very tense standoff, and it ends kind of in a funny manner there. We get to see the mortician working on countless bodies throughout the episode as well too. The mortician eventually kills the pharmacist. There are moments in there that absolutely could be interpreted as scary, but again, I just feel for the tone of the episode combined with the soundtrack and the way that everything is kind of played, it doesn't really come off that way. And that's not a bad thing, honestly. I don't think that's a bad thing at all here to mention because the episode is still a lot of fun and it's still enjoyable to watch. But this leads into our twist, which I actually believe is probably the scariest moment in the entire episode. So after the pharmacist and the mortician end up killing the father of Jonathan Ray Kwan's character in the episode, the boys are determined to get the evidence that they need in order to prove that there's a conspiracy going on and that his father was killed. So they try to set up a rift between the mortician and the pharmacist, and then they basically set themselves up to where they can record the two having a rift and see what happens. So they do that. The mortician ends up killing the pharmacist. The boys are all there with 4 video cameras, having caught every angle of this murder that could get, and the mortician basically demands getting the cameras or he's going to kill all of them. And instead, what ends up happening is a couple of the boys end up pushing the mortician into their friend Norm, the fat kid who's currently holding the suction vacuum for the bodies. The mortician gets impaled and basically gets hollowed out, and that's the end of the episode. Now, you would think that the part that's scary there is this mortician accidentally being killed, because it's not like the boys were trying to kill him. They got the evidence that they needed. They were going to turn this into the cops. I think that's very clear here, and hopefully he gets arrested and that's the end of it. They weren't expecting to actually kill him. The beginning of the episode, they get out of a horror film. They're talking about how much they love horror movies, and then almost immediately the prank gets played on Norm to where they think that a monster is about to get him, and he's scared to death, right? Continuing on through the episode, he ends up having to be the bait to go to the mortician and be like, hey, there's a delivery from the pharmacist, and hey, surprise, it's battery acid, it's burning on your step, he was trying to kill you. Again, freaked out to do that as well too. And who ends up killing the mortician at the end of the episode? Norm. The reason why that twist stands out to me as one of the more memorable twists of the episode, if you want to even call it that, is the fact that as an adult, almost 40 at this point, I can't stop thinking about Norm's mindset and the fact that he is fucked, man. Like I don't mean as in like he had to be fucked to do that, but like mentally, that is going to be a rough childhood for him because he had to kill somebody who was going to kill him and his friends. He didn't want to do it, but that doesn't change the fact that dude just took a life and has shown throughout this entire episode just how scared he ultimately is. Like, no matter how much shit that he talks, this is going to cause some lasting psychological damage here for sure. And so it always stood out because we see murder and death in these episodes all the time. People get killed off all the time, but it doesn't often involve children either being killed or doing the killing themselves of regular people. You just can't help but just feel terrible for Norm. This is going to ruin his life. Without question, this is going to ruin his life. So it is the most memorable aspect of this episode outside of the nostalgia feels and just that great 80s vibe that it has going for it. In terms of ranking for it, it's not going to catch a high ranking, but don't correlate that to saying it's a bad episode of the show. It's just that there are more memorable episodes out there. There are scarier episodes out there. And while no, I don't always need an episode to be at its scariest, this is just not one that I'm going to choose over a lot of others. So, Undertaking Parlor, I have currently ranked at 15 of the episodes that I have gone through thus far here. I'm curious for y'all, where does it end up ranking currently for you? Let me know as we keep on going on through more Tales from the Crypt here on the rest of this year here. And of course, make sure to hit that follow and subscribe button. Y'all know I have so much more content coming here for you soon. This week is TV week, so we got one more review coming for you. We're headed back to Alien Earth. I've taken a few months away from that, but I am determined to get that finished up for y'all the same way we just finished Dexter Resurrection. So we're going to take a look here at episode 4 of Alien Earth, and then next week we're back to movies, and I'll let you know what you can expect there if you come back and check out my review for Alien Earth. So that's going to do it for me tonight, y'all. I so appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me know in the comment section what Tales from the Crypt episode you think I should look at sooner than later. We're going to get through all of them, but maybe you have one that you want to see me talk about a little bit sooner here. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.